Melin? Melin? I don't know. But is this hat worth $100? I just don't know. Well, you know what? I actually kind of do know because I bought it. I spent the money on it and I've spent the last few months using it almost as a daily driver. So take a look. Here's my thoughts on it. Here's what I'm thinking. Is it worth your hard-earned money? Was it worth my hard-earned money? Follow along and Official Guy Reviews will take you on a walk regarding the Melin, the hat. Check it out. Come on in. So now that we're back, I wanted to take a look at the first product on my list. The nice thing is I've acquired a few things over the years. I have a habit of buying stupid things that I get in trouble for with my wife. And I figure at least if I'm doing reviews on them, I'm giving some other poor schmuck advice on whether or not they should get themselves in trouble, probably with their wife too. Or if you're looking for a gift for your husband or you're looking for a gift for a significant other of any kind, maybe this will help you out just a little bit. But I wanted to start out with the Melin hat. Melin. I wanted to give you guys an idea whether it's worth your while. So in my last couple of years of dropping some hair up top here, I've taken to wearing a few more hats around and keeps it a little bit simpler, especially just in the time where you just don't have time to always run out and get a haircut every 2 seconds. And I haven't taken the plunge of just shaving it all off yet. I like to just throw a hat on and on we go. Now, the downside about hats for myself is that I have a gigantic head. My head is massive, and it's something that I live with, I own. It's not something I try to hide about myself. So a big issue I run into is that I'm constantly having issues where the hat itself will dig in too much on the lower back part of my head. And I've had large hats, extra large hats, you name it. One size fits all is a hat I just immediately will not buy because I know that it is not one of the sizes that fits me. So for me, I find that if I'm going to order a hat, it's a really scary process for me because, to be completely honest, I have to go into most stores and make sure I do at least like a loose fit check. And to be honest, it does stress me out. It's not something I like to order online, but I did have a friend that highly recommended the Melin hat. He said, you know what, now that I know that you're a huge hat guy, you got to get one of these hats. And I said, okay, I'll take a look into it because I do love my hats. I did voice my concern about having a gigantic head on me. He said, you don't have to worry about it. Trust me, there's tons of space in these things. You're good to go. Well, I load up the website, and as a Canadian, if you are Canadian or if you're, down south of the border or wherever you're at, one thing you should know, again, as a reminder, is generally Canadians will get destroyed on shipping, handling, pricing, pretty much anything if you're going to order it straight through the States. Now, at the end of the day, I wanted the full experience here. I'm going to try and order it through the direct channel just to get a feel for the whole thing. There's a few different styles of hats and whatnot. I just went with the classic kind of vibe here. And at the end of the day, it wasn't cheap. By the time I paid for shipping and everything, I think we're north of $100 Canadian, which is insane. I mean, at the end of the day, I would never spend that kind of money on a hat, but they're supposed to last. They're supposed to be great quality. I wear hats so often. I felt that, maybe I could justify this. If I can't, it literally will be the last time I buy a hat like this ever. So I ordered the hat. It came, reasonably quickly within, I think it was a few days by the time it came. And in it comes delivered straight to me in this beautiful little box here. So at the end of the day, pop open. I've still got the seals, the bag. It came in there for you guys. And then the tag itself, there she is, the Melin or Melin, however you want to pronounce it. It is the Hydro edition of the tag there. My autofocus sucks. I'm still working on a new camera, so hopefully it works out for you guys. And then a nice little welcome to the Melin family here, Melin family, however you want to say it. And then, pretty little patterning in the box. There was also a note from the owner, and it was funny because the note itself, I don't even know where it went. I had set it aside because I've actually shown a few people. The guy's writing is the same writing as mine. Absolutely crazy. So at the end of the day, I just wanted to give you guys an idea. Is this hat worth your while? Obviously, if you're stateside, it's a lot better in terms of cost. It's still not cheap by any means, especially it depends on what you're looking into. If you get some of the snapbacks and stuff, the whole hat culture can get very pricey. It's like you're getting into running shoes. I'm not that guy. It's not for me. I don't have the skill set. I don't have the time, and I'm too much of a dumb ape to bother. To be completely honest, I generally go with whatever's cheap at wherever I go to. That's something I can get away with. I do like having something that's a darker color. Typically, if you get kids, you're going to find out real quick that buying lighter colors is a mistake in any form of clothing, because at the end of the day, they're just going to stain it up. They're going to come running up to you with whatever on their hands, and before you know it, it's over. And let's be completely honest, before kids even, I mean, a big guy, I tend to spill a little bit. Neither here nor there. At the end of the day, the hat itself, I think, has held up fairly well. I've had it now for a couple months, and I've been wearing it almost as a daily driver. I don't have it on right now, just so I can show you guys how it all fits and the vibe of it all. I just did the classic black, and they have a heather gray and a couple other options, but I just knew where that's going to go. I'm also a sweaty person. If I do anything, I sweat a ton from the head, which is why the hydro side appealed to me, because it's supposed to dries quickly, it wicks well. I'm going to make a couple quick statements here about it. So the weight of the hat, it's heavy. It's definitely notably heavy. And it is a snapback style, whereas this is your just stretch style hat. But at the end of the day, I am noticing by the end of the afternoon, early evening, I'm like, I am noticing a little bit of a weightiness to it. It's not unmanageable, and it hasn't caused me to not use the hat. I still use it as my daily driver for sure. Now, the one thing I will say here in terms of appearance, now you'll see it probably, you can see it right here. So you can see the sheen is already starting a little bit here. Again, I'm a sweaty guy. I've washed it as per the directions a couple times, but I think at the end of the day, a lot of us, what we're going to end up doing is, if hats don't often get smelly unless you're like going super hard on them and not washing your own hair, which, I mean, at the end of the day, maybe that's your own thing. But for me, generally, my hats don't get too smelly. It seems like the sweat and stuff is definitely there because I sweat a ton. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really smell, just smells like hair and shampoo. But you know, sometimes what you'll get is that little bit of the salt staining. If you've had a crazy day, you're working outside all day, doing a ton of yard work or whatever you're doing around the house, and you're sweating nonstop. Once that dries out, you do sometimes find you get that little faint whitish salt kind of stain, which is why I have white, lighter colored hats, because that's just going to bleed up and be terrible. So my point on the staining is, it seems really notable on this hat. Like, you really see it. And I know it's a black hat, but this hat's black and it hasn't been near the same issue. I have a bunch of other black hats, not the same issue. Now, that said, because this is like a wicking soft material, I can only anticipate that's probably the issue. But what I would say is that with the pure black hat, I love a crisp pure black hat, but with that, you see it really notably. And so I've actually just recently gone, and what I'll do, I will give it all the credit for this. If you just put some water on it, just some cold water, and just rub it, it does definitely instantly go away. Now, you will see, obviously, like I pointed out before, you are getting a little bit of the sheen. So if you're not a fan of that, because of the style of material, I think it just happens that way, where it gets almost like that smoothish, almost like a leather vibe showing up on here. But the hat itself cleans up really quickly outside of that, those little white marks. Now, what I will show you, I did leave the back deliberately here. You can see up and through here. The funny part is, you'll see the tag right here. There's the tag inside the hat, right? If I look on the tag side, you can see big time the white staining here. This is literally just sweat. It looks almost like it's some kind of staining or whatever. It is literally just the response of the sweat. You can see it a little bit through here, the response of the sweat. And this is probably within a day or two every time. If I don't constantly, if I just go over this with water, it'll literally be gone just like that. Literally, if I go like this and a little gentle, it's already starting to come off at the top there, right? So it's easy to clean up, but it is a point of note. It's just one of those things, right? If you're a sweaty person like me, then that could be an issue for you. The construction of the hat is unbelievable. The thing is fantastic. Obviously, you've got all the stippling. You can literally almost see through. You got great breathability, in terms of that end of things. The back of the hat breathes fantastically. Probably one of the best ones that I've encountered. Getting to the back of the hat, obviously it's your snapback style. I have to tell you, this is the first time in my entire life that I have bought a hat. They have large, extra large. I, of course, went extra large because, as I've said, my giant head, I've never succeeded in wearing a even fully maxed out large hat, I think, almost ever. One size fits all does not fit. So I was like, you know what? I'll probably have to get this guy here. Even at extra large, I'll have to really open it up, but it should hopefully be okay. Usually with an extra large, as long as it's not I find sometimes with the unisex ones, it just, I don't know, they anticipate that a woman might have a smaller head, it seems. But even some of the extra larges are tough, and I'm definitely maxing them out. And even then, it's a little bit of a dig in by the end of the day, which I hate. That said, this guy actually was the first time I've been a little concerned that it might actually be too loose, which is craziness. If you have big hair or you have a huge head like I do, This is definitely a hat you don't have to worry about sizing on. Like, I'm literally one from as tight as it gets. That is like unheard of for me. I feel like a normal human being for a minute. And even at that, it's not even like that tight. If we pop this guy on here, I could probably tighten that up to that last one there and it'd still be fine. You can tell the size wise, it's a little like you got a little space, which never happens for me. Like it's fully, I've got some space. I could pull it tighter if technically I'm almost curious if it wasn't like over $100, if I could get away with a very loosely fit large, which is shocking to me, truly shocking. I think at the end of the day, it's very, very hat fits, let alone something I can space out. So if you're worried about sizing, you're covered. If you got a huge head that you can hardly ever fit, this is definitely the hat for you. If you have a tiny head, maybe not a great hat. Definitely take a look at the measurements. Definitely don't go extra large, obviously, but I'm sure you're not anyways. And maybe go towards the large size. I don't know. And just see if you can make it as tiny as possible. But tons of room in this guy here. The stitching, everything along the top feels fantastic. It's a little raised, but it feels really nice. The bill feels fantastic. Really good thickness to it without being outrageous. You will see they have the lighter. The good part about that I find is sometimes if you're wearing a dark hat with a dark underbill, it feels like a little oppressive, like you're a little like it's blocking and absorbing light. This kind of feels like a little bit brighter feeling, like you don't have such a shutdown in the overall feel of everything, which is nice. Little touches. I will say, and it was the first thing I was nervous about, obviously with a black hat and a darker anything, which I choose as a default anyways with the kids and myself and stuff on my hands. I'm always, cleaning this and cleaning that off the kids or cleaning off the floor, whatever, then you're going to be touching and you might get something on the hat itself, which I have done. You can actually see right here on this side, you get already a little stain there I got to try and take care of. But you will see this little piece here. This is like an actual rubberized piece. You can see it extends off the hat a little bit, which I do appreciate because I think at the end of the day, a lot of people are readjusting, grabbing your hat. And if you get in a habit of it, I mean, I'm left-handed, so I feel like my default's this side, but it's on the right side. And if you get in a habit of readjusting your hat with this, you're not worried about leaving those oily thumbprints, right? When you're sweating and you're just moving your hat around and you get that nice brown stain there where your thumb's always adjusting your hat. So it is the little things. They definitely thought about this. Is definitely somebody who was wearing a hat regularly and really factored that into construction. So interior of the hat, I'll switch out hats here so I don't have like terrible hair showing for it too long. You got your nice right there, Design in California label, kind of Apple style, give you that homey feel for the folks in the States there. This panel here, it's very soft, very comfortable, right? Very clean. Nice, cool pattern and design in here. Now, what I will say is this portion has a good like pop to it. You can almost hear it. And it's got a good shape to it by itself. Like you don't need to worry about it losing its shape. It's not a floppy style, which is great. It will definitely hold its form for you. No issues at all there. That said, I will say that the front portion of the hat, although it obviously is for function, it looks really solid. It does its job. Between the nice construction of the bill and then the nice thickness of this here and then this backer here. So there's actually a little pocket in through right here. You can see that. So it's got a little pocket inside. And that way they say if you're out and about, you can put your whole finger in there, right? So there's the size of it. So it goes right to the center stitch here, right? And they say the storage portion of that, it doesn't go as very high. Like this is the height of it right there. So it's just a small kind of portion. I would say you're comfortable for key. Maybe you fold up like a $20 bill or whatever. I probably wouldn't do change, obviously, because then you're going to feel it against your head and it's already in it. A bit of an issue between the combination of this lining and then the outer portion being like of such high quality, I feel like construction wise, and then the bill being a nice, the front feels definitely quite, I said before, weighty. It definitely feels heavy. I do find sometimes, whereas this part is so breathable, this is almost feels like the opposite of that. It almost feels like a little too thick, a little too dense. It feels like I have unnecessarily additional clothes at the front of my head. And being a guy bigger and I sweat a lot, it seems like maybe some more sweat is being drawn than would in something that feels thinner and flimsier that way. But you get the construction. And I struggle with it because you're spending like $100 on a hat, at least Canada wise. And if you spend $100 on a hat, you want this. So it's like a give and take. And I'd probably just still go with that anyways, because I know it's going to last. If you're just buying like disposable, I use it for a few months, it breaks down or whatever, and I swap it out, then who cares? But if you want something that's going to be your daily driver for a while, it's definitely a solid option. And I think that that they earn their value for sure. But it is something to be said. If you're always a person who's overheating, you're in a crazy hot climate, maybe this model isn't for you just with the thickness. It does definitely wick. And I do find that it's very rare that I'm like having it drip off the build. I can start to have the drip happening, which is just frustrating and annoying. I don't think I've really encountered it with this. And I put a lot of sweat through this. You will see, even though the heather gray area is not showing any real, outside of my little stain over here, it's not showing any real sweat stains or anything like that from that, which is great. I do appreciate that. It was something I was a little concerned of, is just that constant shading as the rings of sweat dry on over and over. So it isn't doing that at all, which is fantastic. Outside that, the hat, I think it's great. Is it worth $100? I don't know. I feel like it's a better deal south of the border. I know you can also get them used a lot of the time on like eBay and things like that. I didn't want to go that route. I just wanted the full delivery experience and everything else with it if I'm going to get a hat that's of this caliber. Because again, a lot of them that I was going to order are even from eBay are going to have shipping and everything else anyways, and I would just rather not deal with it. So I did go this route. I would probably do it again, I think. But the nice thing is I don't think I'm ever going to have to do it again, because the product is such of high quality. I don't even feel like I ever even have to worry about the warranty on this product, because it's not going to need to ever be utilized. It's a fantastic quality hat. It's got the clean labeling on it. You got your little drip mark here with the little logo. You got the little branding there. And then on this side, you got your right here, another one of the little logos. But the nice thing is some of them get a little overly aggressive on the branding. I didn't want any of that. I wanted a nice, clean black hat. And that's what they've done. They get their brand on there, which is great. Does their little thing, but they did it in a really clean way with a nice little rubberized piece on each little section there, and nothing on the back or anything like that. Nice and clean. At the end of the day, how does it fit? Huge. It fits very large. Massive head, still fantastic. I have it almost as tight as it gets. And I could probably go the one tighter and it'd still be okay. So if you have a huge head, this hat is incredible, period. There's no bones about it. You don't need to worry about sizing. Get your extra large and you'll probably still have space in it. Honestly, if you even have a fairly big head, you might even want to go with just the large, because it'll still be, I'm sure, totally fine based on what I'm seeing here. This is the Hydro. It does wick well, very well. I do find that the weightiness of the front of the hat, because of the quality of construction. So again, I struggle to even really complain about that, but I definitely find that this does feel like I have some hefty product on the front of my head by the end of the day. I'm definitely feeling like the weight of it, but I can't complain because the construction is there. If you're spending good money on a hat, you want it to be high quality. You don't want it to be paper thin, and it does that. So I really can't fault it there, but it is just a point of note. If you get very, very hot and you vent a lot of your heat through your head, and you're just that type of person, this might be something to consider being a little bit too thick. The rest, fantastic. At the end of the day, it's got the beautiful stippling. It breathes incredibly well. It does have a little bit of the white staining that you will find that kind of shows up from the sweat, but it is easily cleaned by quickly just a little wipe of water and it's gone, which is fantastic. Little pocket inside, cool. I mean, I haven't really used it for anything, a key or whatever, cool. But at the end of the day, I'm probably not going to cram a key up in here. Let's dig into my head. It could be useful to throw like a $20 bill or something in case of emergencies, in case you lose your wallet, or you'll have something in there. I would say it's not big enough or wide enough to insert a card of some kind, like a debit card or credit card. It's not wide enough for that. So not functional on that front. But overall, it's another cool thing. However, it does add again to the depth and the bulk of the front, but it's all right. Other than that, is it worth $100? I would say if you can get a good deal on it or watch for a sale, I would go that route. The construction's fantastic. I don't see it being an issue where it's going to be tearing or breaking or anything in the future. It seems like it's going to hold up for as long as I'm going to want to use it. The only thing I will say is you are starting to see the sheen. You can see it here. It's got that kind of like leathery look from just gentle. I haven't done any crazy washing or anything, and it may clear out if I do a nice solid deep wash on it, but it is just a factor. I know a lot of us, I'd love to say we all wash our hats weekly or whatever, but you just don't get around to it. And it is a factor. You're seeing it a little bit after a couple months now of usage. So outside that, I think it's a great product. I think it's a great investment if it's something that you're going to use as a daily driver and it really is going to suit you. if you hate your hair like I do, and you get kids running all over the place and work and everything else, and you just need to throw something on and get out the door, it's great. I love it. It's clean. It's comfortable. Yeah, great product. So I appreciate you guys stopping back in. Official Guy Reviews is back. I've got a few more videos coming your way. I've got a new webcam here for you. Hopefully the camera is going to give you decent quality. We're back. We're at it. And we're going to see if we can give you some more Official Guy Reviews. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you want to do the usual and you do the liking and you do the subscribing, share it with a friend, feel free to shoot me a comment down below. I do read every single one of the comments. I will reply to as many as I can. Love it, hate it, whatever you want, throw a review down below. Thanks so much for stopping in, guys. Take care.